In this video, we're going to be learning how to solve lots of different kinds of equations. These equations have exponents with variables in them, or they have logarithms. This is section 6.5. So I want you to think back to solving these first types of problems that you see. What was the first step to solving those? Remember, it was getting the bases, getting your bases the same. What do you do if you can't get the bases the same? Do you remember? Exponents and logarithms undo each other. So if you can't get the bases the same, we are going to take the logarithm of both sides. So here is our first of four types of problems. The first kind have exponentials that do not have common bases. So this is what you do when the unknown, the x is in the exponent. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the logarithm of each side. So I'm going to take the log of each side. Now if you remember from our laws of logarithms, once I do that, I can now put that x in front. So I'm going to pull the x down. So now, since it's on the ground floor, we can work with it. Now we can get the x all by itself by dividing both sides by the log of 5. So my answer, my exact answer, is log of 9 over log of 5. So that's the first step that they ask. They asked for an exact answer, but they also wanted us to estimate or round to the nearest thousandth. So that's going to be 3 decimal places. So we're just going to put that in our calculator. So you would put log of 9, and it usually puts a parentheses there, so you would close it, divide it by log of 5. So you're going to plug that in. So your x is going to be approximately 1.365. So you'll round it to the third decimal place. We're going to do the same thing for the other two examples here. This time we're going to take the log of both sides again, but this time I'm going to write the ln instead of the log, because I want you to see that it doesn't matter whether you take the log base 10 or the log base e of each side. Either way, you get to bring your exponent down in front. Once it's down in front, then we can work with it, right? We just divide both sides by the ln of 1/3. So my exact answer is going to be the natural log of 6 divided by the natural log of 1/3. Of course, that's my exact answer. When you plug that in your calculator, and again, you'll need to make sure that when you do ln of 6, it automatically puts that parentheses. Make sure you close it and then say divide it by the ln of 1/3. So that's what you'll put in there. And when you do that, you're going to get a negative number, negative 1.631. And then the last of this type of problem, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take the log of both sides. This time I'm going to bring this whole thing down. So that's going to be x plus 3 over the log times the log of 2 equals the log of 5. Whoops. When I take the log of 5 to the x, that means I can bring this x down as well. Okay, so now here's a little trick. We've got to make sure that we distribute, or I should say a trap. This is a trap. We need to make sure that we distribute that to both of them. So I'm going to get x log of 2 plus 3 times the log of 2. And that gives me x times the log of 5. Now, remember what we're solving for. We're solving for our x. So here is a trick. We need to get all those x's on the same side. So I'm going to move this one over by subtracting. Okay, so I'll have on this side 3 log of 2 equals x times the log of 5 minus x times the log of 2. Now remember, in other sections, I've said here's a trick that you need to know. If you're solving for x and you have 2 of them, then the trick is you need to factor it out. Factor out. All right, so I'm going to have 3 times the log of 2 equals x times the log of 5 minus the log of 2. See how I factored out the x? Last step is to divide so that I get my x all by itself. So that means that this is my exact answer. Let's see. I'll make some room over here. So here's my exact answer. X is 3 log of 2 over the log of 5 minus log of 2. Now to get the estimated answer, which is, I'll go ahead and tell you what that answer is, 2.269. To get that, you have to put this into your calculator very carefully. So I'll write it up here, calculator, very carefully. So you're going to put 3 log of 2, and again, you got to close that parentheses because they'll put the parentheses, then put division, and then here's what you got to watch out for. You've got to put that parentheses in there. Log of 5, and they'll have the parentheses, and you'll close it, minus the log of 2, and they'll put the parentheses, so you got to close it, and then close that parentheses. So it's pretty lengthy to put in your calculator, so you'll need to make sure you practice putting those in your calculator to get the correct answer. Okay, we actually have 2 more in this with this type, 2 more examples with this type. Once again, I've got my x up here in the top. Okay, so I want to bring it down. So the way that I do that is I'm going to take the log of both sides. This time I wrote log instead of natural log. You can do either one. I can bring my x down in front. And I'll have the log of negative 11 over here. And then again, I just divide. So it looks just like the other one that we had. So the exact answer would be log of negative 11 divided by the log of 1/9. Now, if you try and put that in your calculator, we got a problem because of this number right here. That can never be a negative number. So if you put that in your calculator, it's going to give you an error message. So x is no solution. There is no solution to that. There's no x you can put in there that you'll get an equal mark, that it'll be equal to each other. Okay, last one of this type. Notice this one is a little bit different. I'll highlight it because it's sort of hard to see with all this writing. This one is a little bit different than the others, okay? Notice this top, the first one in A. See, you had 5 to the x all by itself. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to isolate this part right there. That way we can then take the log of both sides. So we've got to get that by itself. So to do that, I'm going to subtract 1 on both sides. So I'm going to have 5, 1.2 to the 3x minus 2 equals 10. Now I've got to get rid of the 5. So I divide both sides by 5. So now I have 1.2 times the 3x minus 2 equals 2. So now it looks more like what we've been doing, the other examples that we've had. So now we're going to take the log. This time I think I'll take the natural log, just to be different. So I'm going to take the natural log of both sides. So that means I can then pull this into the front. So I get 3x minus 2 is the natural log times the natural log of 1.2 equals the natural log of 2. And just like in C, I've got to distribute that. So I'm going to get 3x times the ln of 1.2 minus 2 times the ln 1.2 is equal to the ln of 2. It's easy to get confused because here is my x. So that's what I've got to solve for. So I need to get it by itself. So all we're going to do is start moving things around. So I'm going to move this to the other side. So I'll get 3x times the ln of 1.2 is equal to the ln of 2 plus 2 times the ln of 1.2. So I'm just moving that to the other side. And then notice I've got to get this by itself. So my last step is to divide by 3 times the ln 0.2 on both sides. 1.2. So my exact answer is going to be x equals the natural log of 2 plus 2 times the natural log of 1.2 all over 3 times the natural log of 1.2. So when you plug that into your calculator, you've got to be really careful because once again, you've got to put parentheses here, okay? And then when divide and put parentheses there. So it's going to look like the ln of 2 plus 2 times the ln of 1.2 divided by 3 times the ln of 1.2. And so your answer should be 1.934. I think we'll stop this video and then we'll start with type 2.